stuff I'm not lasted. Hello and welcome back to the Doctor Who Marathon. I'm your host McEdam, and today we're going to be talking about Fallen Angels by Phil Moran. This is a one-part 60-minute audio adventure, and it is the first story in the legendary Classic Doctors New Monsters box set. This was a series that came out in 2016, in which, because Big Finish at the time had just recently gotten licensed to tackle New Who material, and one of their first commissions was this box set in which each story has a singular Doctor of the classic era interact with a New Who monster. That's the cover for the box, which is really cool, and we're going to be talking about the first one with the Fifth Doctor. That's the spine if you're interested, and the box. And this was one of the few Big Finish stories that I was really looking forward to. And to have some of my favourite Doctors interact with some of my favourite monsters, like the Weeping Angels and the Jadoon, just filled me up with glee. However, I didn't actually get this box set until 2020. For you see, Big Finish have a agreement with BBC where if an actor appears in the episode of a TV episode, then they will have a discount for all the audio dramas where the actor has also appeared with. And luckily for me, Sacha Darwin, one of my favourite actors at the moment, appeared in the 13th Doctor story, Spyfall, in which he played the Master. And due to him having some small appearances in Big Finish, mainly appearing in the first story in Classic Doctor's New Monsters, they had this story on discount, and I was finally able to get it because the Big Finish box sets are expensive as hell. I mean, I love Big Finish, and they basically the quality of stories they usually have. I think they deserve to price these stories with how much they ever want. But the box sets are usually like really expensive. But I caught this at a discount when Sacha Darwin appeared on the TV series, so I'm really lucky to have this. Sadly, I didn't get Volume 2, which is why I didn't tackle, because there was a Fourth Doctor story in that, and that's why I didn't tackle on that one. If I do get that one in future, I will be tackling the latest stories in that. I won't be going back, retreading the marathon to tackle Fourth or Fifth Doctors. I'll just continue it as if the stories are from then. So, yeah, but at the moment, we're just talking about Volume 1, which is probably one of the most anticipated Doctor Who things that I ever bought, and I'm so glad that I own it. Now, with these official Big Finish CD covers, as you may know, I make my own DVD covers, and this is one of the few occasions where I've actually designed the art on it, because I couldn't find a clear image of that without the sidebar. I have now recently found one, which is really irritating. In fact, I've now found one for each of the stories of the Classic Doctor New Monsters. But when I made this, I couldn't find any, so I kind of designed my own cover. There's Sacha Darwin there with Peter Davison, and I can't remember the actors' names, but and it got the Weeping Angel. So, yeah, very highly anticipated. This story deals with the Weeping Angels, a monster from the new series of Doctor Who, created by Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies for the story Blink from season 3 of the new series, which starred David Tennant and Martha Jones. And they were supposed to be a really cool one-off idea. These creatures that are stone, statues, and that until you blink or turn your head, and then they can move, and they can move extraordinarily fast, and they basically take your soul and send you back in time to live out your days in the past and stealing all the days that you would have had. And it's a very morbid idea. However, during that story, the story was ridiculously popular. It was in loads of Doctor Who polls as like one of the best Doctor Who episodes of all time, and we'll get there when I tackle Blink. But the important thing here is that Blink was extremely unpopular, that the Weeping Angels actually became a recurring villain during the 11th Doctor era, and they've been retroactively put into classic era of Doctor Who. In terms of canon, we know that the 4th Doctor, during his time with Sarah Jane in a comic book, states that he doesn't believe that Weeping Angels are real. But in this story, he seems to have some sort of knowledge that they exist. So it hints that there's a story between those two eras where the Doctor has already fought the Weeping Angels. And so now we're going to tackle Fallen Angels, the first story, which has our 5th Doctor encountering the new monster, the Weeping Angels. Okay, so the story starts off with a young couple who have, I believe their names are Joel and Gabby, and they are teachers who've just gone on a honeymoon, and they've gone to the 16th Chapel where Michelangelo had painted. You know who Michelangelo is, but anyway, they break in to try and find one of his statues that he made to make sure it's there. We don't know why until later on, and when they break into this area, they find that the famous statue by Michelangelo isn't there. In fact, it is a statue of an angel. And they get interrupted by a security guard or a priest who states that he is from the Order of the Three Angels. And whilst he's there, we basically get the scene where these characters realise that the statue is alive, and they get sucked back in time to 1511, where Joel gets to meet Michelangelo, and Gabby gets introduced to the 5th Doctor, who is investigating mysterious time-travelling conspiracy as famous artists seem to be disappearing. And the first one that seems to be disappearing is Michelangelo, as his, from the Doctor's point of view, the painting on the roof of the chapel was only half completed, which is just opposed to actual history, which said that he actually finished the completing of it. But according to this new history that the Doctor has discovered, Michelangelo only half completed it before going missing. So they basically become the surrogate companions of this story. And this is an important note in terms of canon and personally me and my involvement with this story, as the 5th Doctor doesn't have a travelling companion in this, which contradicts the show, as in the show we never seen an era of Doctor Who in which he doesn't have a companion. So personally, to me, I consider this non-canon. I consider it doesn't connect with the TV show. That doesn't mean it's a bad story. It has nothing to do with the quality of this adventure. But I'm just saying, in my personal eyes, because the Doctor doesn't travel with a companion, to me, it doesn't feel canon. But Peter Davison does a fantastic job, especially working with this new cast. Now, Joel is played by none other than our favourite actor, Sacha Darwin, this is actually his first interaction into the Doctor Who universe. He previously played Warwick Hussein in the TV movie An Adventure in Space and Time, which details the making of Doctor Who. So that's really cool, and to see him play a character inside Doctor Who just really brought a smile to my face, especially now knowing that he becomes one of the Doctor's greatest villains in the modern day. So that's really cool, and Gabby is played by Diana Morgan. Now, for those of you who are British and are a huge fan of Charlie Brooker, you might recognise her voice, as she is Philomena Clunk, a famous British comedic character, and she might be typecast as a bit of an idiot, but she does a fantastic job here, and she's a physics teacher. However, because the Doctor's a time traveller who's from the future, knows much more about physics, her knowledge in terms of the science really lets her down as she tries to work out what's going on. And she also seems to be suffering from some sort of memory loss because of the way she time travelled. And so she teams up with the Doctor to try and find Joel and find out what's going on, whilst Joel meets up with none other than our famous artist Michelangelo, who seems to be sculpting a statue for the legendary Order of the Three Angels, whilst also trying to complete his massive painting on the wall. Now, he's played by Matthew Kelly, who's a pretty big name in British culture. I can't really think of anything that he's been in, which is really embarrassing. But he does a great job at bringing out the arrogance, but also the passion of Michelangelo. There's a great scene in which one of the Order of the Three Angels, one of the priests, who basically becomes the main villain for the vocals, the voice of the angels, who's played by none other than Dan Starkey, more commonly known as the new series Sontarans. And he's trying to get Michelangelo to rush, try and get as much into his work to try and carve out the angel. But Michelangelo is having none of it, and is like, if the speed that you want, maybe you should go hire someone else, whilst I need to go back to the painting on the wall anyway, on the ceiling. And it's also here that he gets introduced to Joel, and they have some sort of friendship, but Michelangelo is still like 50-50 on him, as Joel kind of criticised, because he's from the future, he knows how things seem to work, and that he looks at the paint like a blueprint, and he criticises something about how Adam and God are supposed to look. And according to Doctor Who, it's Joel that gave Michelangelo the idea to have their fingers almost touching in that iconic pose. Hold on, if I show you the DVD cover, you know that famous painting, that right under there, yeah. And they become like a great little group and try to work out what's going on. It's also here that that Joel gets befriends Michelangelo's servant, Pedro, who's this young boy who is a bit of a fool, who he gives around people's their food and drinks, and he stumbles and he makes mistakes, and when he does, Michelangelo shouts at him and gets him down, and you really enjoy this character as he feels really innocent on the whole thing, which is kind of upsetting what happens to him later. And so the Doctor and Gabby then go to the chapel where they reintroduce Joel, and it's here that they remember a bit of their past, as in modern day. It's also important to note that modern day for them is 2015. But yeah, anyway. And they basically explain to the Doctor that in their time, they remember that the chapel was half finished, and but seemed like everybody else has forgotten about the original timeline apart from them two. And a third person that was there, the Doctor. They have met the Doctor in his personal future, but this hasn't happened for the Doctor yet. And the Doctor recommends that it's all completely wrong, and maybe you should go looking for other Michelangelo artworks to see if they're still there. And it's here where Joel decides to go look for the famous statue, which sets up the story at the start. So it plays with the timey-wimey elements, and it's also here where it's revealed to the Doctor anyway that the Weeping Angels are involved, and they explain how they travelled back in time to 1511. And the Doctor is mortified by this as he works out that the angels are behind all this and maybe having aspects of all the history being altered and changed. And so they're basically on a mission to try and figure out what the Weeping Angels are doing and trying to keep Michelangelo as safe as possible, and that and try and stop the Order of the Three Angels, a cult that worships the Weeping Angels and believes that if they do their bidding, they will get some sort of reward, which turns out to be getting sent back in time, getting eaten by the Weeping Angels. So this is probably a great time to talk about just the overall atmosphere of the story, because when the story was announced that Big Finish would be tackling Weeping Angels in any sort of capacity, a lot of people, when they announced this, became hilariously critical of the idea. The Weeping Angels are a very visual monsters. They don't speak, and the whole gimmick relies on you seeing them and seeing them getting closer. And you really, and you know, this is an audio drama, you don't have that. You only have words and people's word of mouth. And a lot of people became really critical of that. Personally, I thought it would be a very interesting struggle that Big Finish could, hurdle that Big Finish could try and overcome. And if it failed, it would have been it could have just been everybody just gone, oh, don't worry, it was the Weeping Angels. You couldn't have really succeeded. But if they did succeed, if this story was even at least decent, it would just show how amazing the writers and the production of Big Finish are. And I'm glad to announce that Fallen Angels is fan-bloody-tastic. To get over the crutch of the Weeping Angels, shall we say, for audio dramas, Big Finish allow two things to happen. Let the threat be a lot more intimate, as the Doctor gets much more involved in the plot and introducing us to such likeable characters that we don't want to see any harm come to them. But also in terms of the sound design and stuff, the Weeping Angels do have an iconic sound, as when you blink and stuff and you see a move, they have that sting. You know that horror sting? When something jumps at you, that fring noise. They might overuse that a lot, and it does come up under the criticism that it's one of those stories where it has a bunch of characters describe everything that's in front of them. Though I don't think it's so bad in this story that it becomes a criticism, although it is noticeable. And yeah, so the Weeping Angels are surprisingly effective in this audio dramas, and Phil Mulrun, I can't remember how to pronounce his name. That's really bad and really cringy, I'm sorry. But anyway, he deserves a massive pat on the back for realising the Weeping Angels and letting this story be, for allowing this story for being so creepy and disturbing, with a great scene in which poor Pedro, the servant of Michelangelo, finds one of the angels and disappears into time. And later on, the Doctor, Joel and Gabby, they go under a cavern, as it's revealed that the Order had been making tunnels underneath the famous chapel, and they find an old man that's tied up to the wall, and it turns out that this person is Pedro, who was travelled back in time and tried to warn people, but to no avail. And because of that, the Black Order actually ordered him to be imprisoned into this place. And it was here that the Doctor and all the crew members decide, right, we're going to have to try and stop the angels, and that there's at least two more. And the Doctor also tries to work out, it's like, how did they know that there were angels deep beneath the earth? However, it's revealed that the leader, the priest, was actually sort of mind controlled, as one of the angels was found many years before, and he kind of mind controlled them. It's established in an 11th Doctor story that Weeping Angels can get inside people's heads if you look into their eyes. Although it works a little bit different in here. In here, it's much more in mind of hypnotic suggestion, as Dan Starkey's priest character believes that worships the angels as godlike figures, and believes that if they do their bidding, then they will get what they want. However, in later stories, it will be revealed that when you look into the eyes of an angel, they basically get, an angel appears inside your mind and tries to basically rip you from the inside out. So yeah, a little bit of a continuity thing, and I don't think it matters. I think you can have both ideas and keep them working. But anyway, with this one angel basically revealing to the priest that there are two more angels, and that many years ago, when the earth was being formed, 3 angels had fallen into the crust of the earth and were trapped there for many years until a few years before this story was set, where the first one was freed. And basically these angels, because they were stuck on in earth in some sort of hibernation, where they stay alive underneath the earth for thousands upon thousands of years, that they've basically gone mad, and they actually apply the help of humans to get their feasts. So the Doctor then comes up with a plan to trap 2 of the Weeping Angels by making them look into a mirror, and they forget about a 3rd one. And there's a really intense scene in which the Doctor is in the chapel with Michelangelo, and you can see that there's one angel coming for the Doctor. At this point, he only knows of wine. But a second one comes out through the window, and they're on opposite sides of the room, and so the Doctor has to constantly look back and forward, and you can hear the sound effect getting quicker and quicker as the angels are getting closer and closer, and it makes your heart really tense up, and really is like, oh my god, are they going to get the Doctor? Will it be the end for Michelangelo? However, Michelangelo comes up with a plan to basically knock all the scaffoldings that allows him to paint the ceiling crashing down onto the angels. buying them a little bit of time. Although obviously it doesn't do anything in terms of damage, and they survive through it. And then they go down into the caverns where they get trapped with the mirrors. And also the third one comes chasing after them, and you get a really intense scene before the Doctor, Gabby and Joel take this angel to appear into one of the mirrors as well, and they close off this little cavern to be forgotten in time, as history states that there is nothing there. And so Michelangelo survives through the adventure and is able to finish his famous ceiling painting. And the story ends on a very somber note, a very sad note in my opinion, as Joel and Gabby are like, right, Doctor, you're going to take us back into the future where we can live out our honeymoon and then get back onto work. And the Doctor's like, you see, there's an issue there. Because you were taken back by a weeping angel and not by a time capsule or anything, you are basically forced to stay in this time zone. You are forced to stay here to live out your life in 1511 and years following it, and the Doctor can't take them back into the future, and the Doctor states that he's got to go now back into 2015, where he will meet Joel and Gabby for the last time, in their perspective the first time, to set off this story, finishing the time loop. And there might be a little bit of a contradiction, as the Doctor and Martha were taken by angels in Blink, and they were able to travel into the TARDIS just fine. However, I personally really like this idea that if you get touched by an angel, if an angel sends you in the past, you're basically banned from time traveling. You physically can't for any sort of reason, because it makes the danger of being touched by an angel an actual threat. If the Doctor could just take everyone back with the TARDIS, where's the threat in that? And where's the danger? And so the story ends with the Doctor leaving Gabby and Joel in 1511. And that's Fallen Angels. Overall, this is a fantastic story to start the classic Doctor New Monsters. And the way these stories set up with no storyline, each story is its own individual thing. And to see the Fifth Doctor interacting with Weeping Angels, I would consider this a very great jumping on point for any newcomers to Big Finish, an audio drama format, especially if you're into New Who. It seems like these stories were specifically made for a New Who audience. They have the same amount of runtime as a singular episode, and like New Who, these are singular episodes. There's no cliffhangers and stuff, and it's only 60 minutes long, which is your average New Who episode. And the story feels a lot more like a New Who experience. And to have you, with your knowledge of Weeping Angels and having that as a great selling point, allows this to be a great starter for any people who want to be interested in Big Finish. It also incredibly helps that it's a really good story. And it's probably my second favourite Weeping Angel story, although that wasn't really a high bar to begin with, because I haven't really Blink. The Weeping Angel stories seem to be hit and miss, in my opinion. But this one was a fantastic hit, and it was easily one of my favourite Angel stories, and probably one of my favourite Fifth Doctor stories as well, including the TV series. So, highly recommend it. Just go get the box set. The rest of the stories, as far as I'm recording this, I've listened to the fifth one, the sixth one, and the eighth one. I haven't listened to the seventh one yet, which I'll explain when I get to the Seventh Doctor era. But I highly just recommend getting the box set, especially if you're a newcomer and you want to get into Big Finish. And if you like new Who, if you like new Doctor Who, it's a great selling point. And yeah, everybody should listen to this. It's despite me not thinking it's not feeling that it's canon because of the Doctor doesn't have a travelling companion, it is still a very good story and it's worth listening. So go listen to it. So there you go. Join me next time where we will go back to the TV series and the Doctor, Tegan and Turlough land on a sort of deserted, is it a planet or a ship? I can't remember. But anyway, they have to fight creatures that can control gravity. So join me next time for Frontios. And I'll see you next time on the Doctor Who Marathon. Ta-da!